I'm afraid your grandfathered status expired with the new easement agreement.
You have no jurisdiction out here, counselor. This is my land.
The sun dipped low behind the jagged hills of Blackstone Ridge as I turned my truck onto the familiar gravel road leading to my ranch, my home, my peace, my escape. It had been 6 months since I'd last stepped foot on this land. Work had dragged me across states, meetings had eaten my schedule, and the endless stream of HOA disputes across the nation had kept me busier than a wildfire in dry season. As the National Director of Homeowner Associations, I managed, oversaw, and regulated every HOA across the entire United States. From tiny suburban cul-de-sacs in Missouri to sprawling luxury communities in California, I was the final authority. Funny thing was, most people had no idea such a position even existed, let alone that I held it. And apparently, someone here had definitely missed the memo. My ranch looked exactly how I left it, the tall barn standing proud against the horizon, the corral empty but clean, the porch swing rocking gently in the wind. The smell of dust, pine, and dry grass greeted me like an old friend. Everything felt right, until it did ends. Single quotes T, because the moment my boots hit the dirt, I heard it, the unmistakable thump-thump of hurried footsteps. Then a voice that managed to be nasal, aggressive, and self-important all at once. Hey, you, what are you doing on this property? I turned slowly. There he stood. Kyle Reynolds, the self-appointed enforcer of the local HOA, armed with a clipboard, cheap sunglasses, and the kind of attitude usually reserved for mall cops, who take themselves way too seriously. He strutted toward me like he owned the place, which was odd, considering I was the one who actually owned the place. I said, he repeated, puffing his chest. What are you doing here? This ranch belongs to the Blackstone Ridge community, and trespassers are not allowed. I blinked. Trespassers? Yes. He jabbed a thumb at me. You? I stared at him, utterly confused, then amused. Kyle, I'm the owner of this ranch. That's impossible, he snapped. The resident hasn't been seen in months. According to HOA policy, any unoccupied property is subject to external supervision. He lifted his chin like he was quoting scripture. I oversee this zone. You need to leave. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was astoundingly stupid. Before I could respond, Kyle whipped out his phone. That's it. I'm calling the sheriff. You're refusing to leave private HOA managed property. His thumb hovered over the dial. Normally, I would have stopped him, explained calmly who I was, shown him my documents, maybe even admired his dedication. However, misguided. But something about his smug posture, the way he smirked like he'd just caught a criminal, made me fold my arms and wait. He dialed. Yes, Sheriff, I've got a trespasser here. Mayo claims he owns the ranch at Blackstone Ridge. Yes, I'm positive he doesn't. I need immediate assistance. He hung up and smirked. You're in a lot of trouble. I smiled back, slow, patient, almost pitying. No, Kyle, I said, you are Mika, because he had no idea who he had just challenged. The sheriff's truck would arrive in 10 minutes, but Kyle had no idea what kind of storm he had just invited onto himself. The crunch of gravel under heavy tires echoed across the quiet ranch as the sheriff's truck approached, its headlights cutting through the golden dusk. Kyle stood beside me, arms crossed, chin raised like a soldier awaiting promotion. To him, this moment was probably the highlight of his HOA career, the day he caught a trespasser. To me, it was Tuesday. Sheriff Colton Briggs, a tall, broad-shouldered man with a salt and pepper beard and a perpetual look of tired disappointment, stepped out of the vehicle. He'd been sheriff around these parts for nearly 20 years, long enough to know most folks by their trucks, dogs, or preferred beer brand. When he saw me, his expression didn't tense. It softened. Well, I'll be damned, Briggs said, tipping his hat. Didn't expect to see you back so soon. Kyle's head snapped toward him. Sheriff, that's the trespasser I called about. Briggs blinked, then looked at Kyle, then back at me. Trespasser. This man, he let out a dry laugh. Son, that's Liam Grant. This is his property. Kyle stiffened. That's impossible. According to our HOA files, the owner hasn't been on site for over 6 months. When a property appears abandoned, it legally becomes subject to inspection and control by the HOA authority. He had no right to be here without notifying us. The sheriff narrowed his eyes. You telling me the actual owner needs to notify you to step foot on his own land? Kyle cleared his throat. He should have filed a temporary absence form. It's policy. Briggs sighed deeply, the kind of sigh that carried 20 years of dealing with nonsense. Kyle, this here is private ranch land, not some suburban cul-de-sac with matching mailboxes. Then he turned to me. When did your land fall under HOA jurisdiction anyway? It didn't, I replied. He made that up, Kyle sputtered, jabbing a finger toward the barn. That structure violates 3 codes. The fence is non-regulation height. The driveway gravel size is unapproved. And, you're digging yourself into a hole the size of Texas, Briggs muttered. But Kyle wasn't done. He puffed out his chest and said the exact words that sealed his fate. I oversee compliance for the Blackstone Ridge Homeowners Association. and I have the authority to detain anyone violating community standards. That includes him. Briggs blinked. Detain? I blinked. Detain? Even Kyle seemed surprised at his own stupidity, but it was too late to take it back. I stepped forward slowly. You're claiming authority over this ranch. Yes, he declared. An authority over me. Yes. I smiled, the kind of smile that only shows up right before somebody witnesses something unbelievable. Well then, I said, reaching into my jacket. I suppose this is the part where you see exactly who you've been barking at. I pulled out my identification, not the local permit, not the property deed, but the badge that certified my position as National Director of HOAs, the highest authority in the country for every neighborhood committee, association, and covenant board. Briggs nodded respectfully when he saw it. Kyle's jaw dropped so hard I thought it might hit the dirt. He stared, pale as chalk. W8, you run HOAs? All of them? Every single one, I confirmed. Kyle took a shaky step back. That's not possible. It's very possible, Briggs said with a chuckle. And you just called the cops on the man who outranks every HOA in the nation. Ka swallowed so hard it was audible, and I wasn't close to done with him. Before Kyle could recover, another truck rolled up, one that would make his situation 10 times worse. The dust from the sheriff's truck hadn't even settled when another vehicle pulled up, a black SUV with chrome trim and the kind of shine that screamed I'm important, and I want everyone to know it. The engine cut off, and the driver's door swung open with theatrical flair. Out stepped Marcus Hale, president of the Blackstone Ridge HOA Board.net. Marcus wasn't just any HOA president, he was the type who treated his position like it was a military rank. He stood tall, puffed his chest, adjusted his tie even though we were in the middle of a ranch, and looked around like he was inspecting troops. Behind me, Kyle straightened up instantly, like a rookie soldier seeing his general. President Hale, sir, I've handled the situation. This man was trespassing. Marcus lifted a hand sharply. Kyle, just one word, but the kind of word that meant shut up before you embarrass yourself further. Then Marcus turned to me. His expression was calm. To calm, the kind of calm men use when they've already decided they're right, before the conversation even starts. You must be the individual causing the disturbance, he said, adjusting his glasses. I was informed you are refusing to leave this property. Sheriff Briggs scoffed. Marcus, he's the owner. Marcus didn't even blink. Unlikely. We have documentation showing this property has been unresponsive to HOA communications for an extended period. In the absence of reported activity, the HOA board activated Article 9, Temporary Transfer of Oversight. And who approved that? I asked. I did, Marcus said proudly. This community relies on structure, order, compliance, and I will not allow an unregistered individual to. I cut him off with a raised hand. Marcus, did Kyle tell you who I am? He smirked. Your identity is irrelevant. What matters is that you are in violation of HOA protocol. Briggs rubbed his temples. For the love of Marcus, look at his badge. Marcus kept his chin raised as if the badge could wait. Regardless of whatever card you plan to show me. The HOA look at the badge, Briggs repeated firmly. Marcus sighed like we were all inconveniencing him. But finally, his eyes landed on the badge in my hand. His face didn't just fall. It collapsed. His lips parted. His breath caught. His shoulders dropped. He looked like a man who had accidentally insulted a judge during his own trial. You're the National Director of HOAs. I finished for him. Yes, I oversee your board, your policies, your elections, your guidelines, your violations, all of it. Kaya took a step away from Marcus like distance might save him. Marcus swallowed hard and straightened his tie again, except this time, his hands were shaken. Well, this is unexpected. Oh, don't worry, I said casually. I'm just here to see my ranch. But since you both escalated this, we're going to talk about your misuse of authority. Kyle winced. Marcus froze. Briggs smirked. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. You activated Article 9 without my approval. You attempted to enforce HOA jurisdiction on private ranch land. And your compliance officer, I nodded toward Kyle, called the cops on the National Director. Marcus looked like he might faint. Yes, sir, he stammered. There must be some misunderstanding. No misunderstanding, I said calmly. There will be consequences. And that was when Marcus's phone buzzed loud, sharp, and perfectly timed. He looked at the screen, and his face turned ghost white. I didn't know who was calling, but I knew exactly what that call meant. What Marcus heard on that call would send both him and Kyle into full-blown panic, and it was only the beginning.